Hello everyone. Good evening. How are you doing? I hope everyone is doing good. So welcome to another video of inheritance and variation. In this video, we will be talking about the genes which are located on the X and Y chromosomes, that is your sex chromosome, sex-linked inheritance, and we will be discussing about autosomal inheritance also. Few examples which are there in the syllabus, that is widow's peak and phenylketonuria. Okay, before that you should be knowing sex-linked inheritance, how many number of chromosomes are there. So total number of autosomes are 22 in every cell. Okay, autosomes, that is your all the chromosomes which will be required for carrying out different metabolic activities. So all the information, all the genes will be there on the autosome, and one pair of sex chromosome will be there in addition to the 22 autosome. Okay, so 22 pair plus one pair, total will give you 23 pairs, and in numbers it will be 46. Okay, so what is sex-linked inheritance? Basically, the genes which are there on the sex chromosome, okay, and the traits that they control. So the traits controlled by the genes present on the sex chromosome, either the X chromosome or the Y chromosome, are said to be sex-linked inheritance. Okay, they are said to be what? Sex-linked inheritance. So the expression of that gene is coming from the sex chromosome because the genes are located on the either the X or the Y chromosome. So if it is located on the X, we will call it as X-linked. If it is located in the allele or the gene pair or one allele or both the alleles of a gene are located on the Y chromosome, then we will call it as Y-linked. Okay, let's begin with the first type, that is the X-linked inheritance. So you should be knowing that a mother, a female will always have two copies of X chromosome, and a male will always have one copy of X and one copy of Y. Okay, so if we do a cross, so mother will always contribute X because both the copies of sex chromosome are X only. So she doesn't have any variety, but whereas father has X and Y. So if this X is coming in the progeny, and another allele from the father, let's say this X, so a daughter will be produced. Because for a daughter to be produced or for a female to be formed, what is the sex chromosome that needs to be present? 2X. So here also this X and then this X. Okay, so daughter. Now again the mother will contribute this X, and a father, we are done with the X. If the father donates X chromosome, then daughter will be formed. If the father is giving Y chromosome, then a son will be formed. So basically, the sex of the child is decided by the contribution of the gene from the father. If the father's X is coming, then a female child will be born. If the father's Y is coming, then the male child will be born. Okay, so basically X-linked inheritance means what? We are talking about the genes which are located on the X chromosome. Okay, so a male will always have the X-linked genes coming from the mother, not the father. So if a son is born, the son will have the X from his mother, not the father. Okay, so that is no male to male transmission will happen. Fine. And a female receive X-linked traits equally from the mother and the father. So in female, 50-50 ratio from the mother and from the father. So if the daughter is there, she will express traits from the sex linked inheritance equally from the mother and equally from the father, because she has received the another X from the father. So this is X-linked inheritance. Some of the examples that we will be seeing in the next videos is the sex-linked traits, that is some of the diseases that are associated with genes which are present on the sex chromosome. For X, it is color blindness, hemophilia. This two we are going to do in detail. Some other examples are Duchenne muscular dystrophy, whiling ear hair, that is the hair which is present on the ear pinna. Okay, even baldness is another example of the sex-linked inheritance. Fine. Then moving to the Y-linked inheritance, as we have just discussed, the Y is solely and purely coming from the father. So the genes which are located on the Y chromosome are Y-linked. We will call them as Y-linked. And we have studied the structure of X and Y in the previous video. So if you have not checked out the video, please go through the video of the structure of X and Y chromosome. There we have discussed the size, the shape, homologous, non-homologous, all those things. Okay. So Y chromosome is much shorter than the X, and obviously it has, because it is shorter, comparatively it has lesser genes as that present on the X chromosome. Okay. Another term for Y-linked genes is polyangic genes also. The inheritance of the Y-linked genes is also known as polyangic genes. This also was covered in the previous video on the structure of X and Y chromosome. Okay. So Y will always come from father to the son. Fine. Y will always come from father to the son. One example is hypertrichosis, that is growth of long hair in the ear. So this gene which gives hair on the ear, this is coming from the gene. The trait is getting expressed because of the gene which is located on the Y chromosome of the male. Okay. So simple as that. Genes located on X chromosome, X-linked genes located on Y chromosome, Y-linked genes. X will be, in case of daughters, it will be, the daughters will get the X from mother also and father also, whereas in case of males, the X will only be contributed to the male through mother only, not the father. Fine. Okay. So one just representation, what you can see over here is, let's say this father is there and the father is having some mutation on the gene present on the Y chromosome, and this Y gets transferred only when a boy is formed. So over here, and the mother is normal, that is unaffected over here. So if if any gene on the Y chromosome of the father is mutated or is diseased, it's in disease condition, has certain disease pattern, that will be, transmitted to the son. That pattern will be transmitted to the son because the son is an outcome of the combination of one X from mother and one Y from mother, and the father is having only one Y. So that defected will be transmitted from father to daughter, father to son, father to son. So son affected, you can see over here. Fine. How inheritance related to Y linked and X linked is there. Okay. Now let's move on to autosomal inheritance. Now these are the genes which are present on the 22 pairs of chromosomes, the autosomes, the body, the remaining part of the total number of chromosomes. So a lot many traits are there on the chromosomes, autosomes. Okay, these traits are known as autosome linked traits. Obviously, on sex chromosome there are very few genes and very limited number of traits are controlled by them. Autosomes are more in number, so more traits and more genes are present on these 1 to 22 number of chromosomes. Okay, so basically all your body characters, transmission of body characters, other than the sex-linked traits, from the parents to their offspring through autosome is known as autosomal inheritance. Okay, so when the gene is getting passed on, when any trait is passed on from the autosome from the parents to the offspring, then that type of inheritance we will call it as autosomal inheritance. In the previous slide, for example, the father who had a gene which was affected on the Y chromosome. So in that case, we were talking Y-linked inheritance, that is sex-linked inheritance, where the son was affected because the Y chromosome was affected in the father. Similarly, in autosome, if any of the autosome is having mutated genes and it gets transferred to the offspring, so that particular trait will be expressed in the offspring. Okay. So some of the characters are influenced by dominant genes, whereas some are influenced by recessive genes. Okay. Examples that we will be doing is widow's peak, Huntington, widow's peak, and phenylketonuria. This is another example, but there's not we are not going to do it in detail as it's not there in your syllabus, but it's an example that you should be knowing. Okay. So dominant traits, that is widow's peak and Huntington's. Now, how dominant recessive, we will see it in the next slide. And autosomal recessive traits like phenylketonuria, cystic fibrosis, and sickle cell anemia. These are all the recessive. These three are a disease condition, whereas a normal gene is mutated. And if that mutation is there in the parents, it will get transferred to the possibility of then getting transferred to the offspring is more. Huntington's disease like that. Okay. So we will begin with the first example, that is widow's peak. Okay, so let's begin with this example of widow's peak. That is what happens in this autosomal inheritance. Basically, autosomal inheritance, again repeating myself, the genes which are located on the autosomes from chromosome number 1 to chromosome number 22. Okay, so widow's peak is this character, as you can see over here on the uh, forehead, as you can see over here. This is widow's peak. So the growth of the hair is something like this. Yes, and if the person is having like this straight line of hair on the forehead, so this is no widow's peak, and some of them have growth in this manner, right? So this is widow's peak. So if we'll begin with the parent, if the one of the parent, let's say, is dominant for widow's peak, 2 capital W, and one of the parent, this is the female, has a straight hairline. Okay, this is straight hairline. And the gene we will write, because it is a recessive straight hairline, when two small w's will be there, then only a person will have this. Okay. Now, what will happen in F1 generation? What are the types of gametes? So capital W only, one capital W. Yes, this is the gamete that is formed, and one small w. So chances of one capital W, one small w coming together is more. Okay. So F1 in F1 hybrid, you will see all capital W and small w. So this is how the widow's peak will be expressed, and it is a dominant trait, autosomal dominant gene. Okay, because this type of hairline, this W or M shape widow's peak, is because of the capital W, which will be contributed by one of the parent who is dominant, who is having the dominant allele. Okay, so let's say a homozygous man with a widow's peak crosses with a woman with homozygous straight hairline. The offspring will have a widow's peak because it is a dominant character that will be expressed. Fine. So this is the example. Now moving to the next example on the phenylketonuria. Another, this is also an autosomal linked inheritance. Okay. First, we will see what happens in this disease condition. Okay, and then we will see how it is recessive and things like that. Just we first read what is this basically. It's a metabolic disorder. It's a metabolic disorder. Some problem in the metabolism. What metabolism we will just see now. Now, basically, when you have proteins, okay, when you eat proteins, proteins are have to be broken down into amino acids, right? Like sugars have to be broken down into simple sugars like glucose. Yeah, fats has to be broken down into simple fatty acids and lipids. Similarly, proteins when they are eaten, they have to be broken down into simpler molecules, amino acids. Then amino acids are absorbed by the blood, and then they are transported to different parts of the body wherever required with the help of the blood. Now, many amino acids are made. One of the amino acids known phenylalanine. Okay, phenylalanine is produced. Okay, now this phenylalanine has to be converted into tyrosine. Okay, this has to be converted into some another form. Fine. This enzyme known as phenyl phenylalanine hydroxylase. Okay, this enzyme PAH. So this enzyme has to be this protein has to be converted into some another form by this enzyme PAH in normal condition, normally. Okay, in a normal person. But if the person is having phenylketonuria, this enzyme is not working. This enzyme is not working, or this enzyme is not functional. The enzyme that is formed genetically is not the normal enzyme, abnormal enzyme. So because it is not a normal enzyme, some abnormal enzyme is made, either the function will be prevented or the shape of the enzyme will be different, and it will not be able to carry out its normal function of breaking down the amino acid. So what happens over a period of time? More amount of phenylalanine gets accumulated. Over a period of time, it gets accumulated in your body. So toxic level of phenylalanine is reached in your body because this enzyme does not breaks down the amino acids. So people with PKU have a defective PAH enzyme. So toxic levels of phenylalanine will build up in your body. What will happen if a more amount of phenylalanine is built up in your body? It's an amino acid only. One might think that it's an amino acid only. What will happen? Why? So there are effects of this excessive amount of phenylalanine in your body. It may lead to brain damage, it may lead to cataract, it may lead to jaundice, enlarged liver, kidney damage, or if galactosemic infant is there, okay, so is given milk, unmetabolized milk sugar buildup and damage the liver, eyes, kidneys, and brain. So this is another indirect side effect of this. Fine. So, okay. So these are the symptoms that will happen when there is high levels or toxic levels of phenylalanine amino acid getting accumulated in the body. Okay. Let's just go through once again. So the protein has to be converted. The protein has to be broken down into amino acids. One of the amino acids, phenylalanine, is there. It has to be in healthy person, in a normal person. This phenylalanine has to be converted into some other amino acid, that is tyrosine. This conversion is because of this enzyme PAH. Okay, phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, which converts phenylalanine into tyrosine. Okay, and this tyrosine then has a normal, it has these metabolic effects. It is required for skin and hair. It is required for signaling molecules in the brain. It is required for molecules. It is required for energy. Okay, in the brain, all these stuff. Fine. So PAH protein will convert the phenylalanine into another amino acid, tyrosine. And then tyrosine is made into other molecules that the body will need. Fine. This happens in a healthy person. What happens if there is some defect? This PAH protein is not able to convert phenylalanine into tyrosine, this will happen. Then means that the enzyme is not made properly, it's not functional, it is having some defect because of some gene defect in the person. So the person will suffer from phenylketonuria. So altered PAH protein will not be able to convert phenylalanine into tyrosine. So you will see a piling of phenylalanine in your body. So this phenylalanine builds up to the harmful level, and the body cannot build enough of some of the molecules it needs. So these molecules, which are tyrosine, when it gets converted to tyrosine, then tyrosine is required to make some of the molecules in these metabolic pathways. So that is not getting made, and it results into these direct, indirect symptoms in the person's body. Fine. So this is the condition because of the gene defect present on the autosome. Now, as I was saying, it is an autosomal recessive. Okay, it is an inborn metabolic disorder caused due to autosomal recessive gene. Let's say if you just consider P2 capital P for normal person for this PAH enzyme, and a person having phenylketonuria having two small p. Okay, having two small p. I will, let's say, two small p, yellow color. Okay, so when will this condition take place? Only when the child has this combination, two small p. Okay, so if a parent is one capital P, one small p, and this small p is that p which is having the defective gene, and another parent is too small p for this phenylalketonuria, and let's say this combination with this combination, so if the child or the offspring might get because both are small p and one of the small p is because of this defective gene. Right? So autosomal recessive gene. So when both the recessive gene will come together, then only this condition will set in. Like widow's peak, when one capital and one small. So only in hybrid condition or homozygous dominant condition, the widow's peak will be expressed or will be shown. When two small W's are there, then widow's peak will not be expressed. Okay, the person will not have widow's peak. He or she will have straight hairline. So this was these are the inheritance which are linked to autosomes. Fine. In the next video, we will do the genes for sex-linked inheritance. Okay, so the genes, if they get defected, what are the types of what symptoms and what conditions that they manifest, that we will see. So we will see two examples: color blindness and hemophilia. But these genes will be located where? On the sex chromosome. So two examples from each inheritance is there in your syllabus. So two we did from the autosomal inheritance, and the remaining two we will do from sex-linked inheritance in the next video. So make a note of all the questions that you have. You can ask in the live class. Make a note of all your doubts and we will discuss in the live class. Take care. Keep revising. See you. Bye bye.